All right, it is showtime. What's going on, everyone? And welcome to another 27 Outs Live. And of course, as always, I am Ivan alongside Stefan. The celebration is now over. Shout out to everybody who stopped by on Monday. We sure had a lot of fun for those of you who stopped by that night, whether it was live or we also noticed that a lot of you guys were watching after the fact. So shout out to all of you in general because it meant a lot, especially to be able to celebrate something that is meaningful to us and to know that you guys have been here for not the exact amount of time because you guys get here when you get here, right? And at the end of the day, we still appreciate it no matter what. But yeah, that is now over and done with. We're here today. Stefan, before I pass it over to you, just a few more seconds. Some quick shout outs. A lot of love on the TikTok lately, guys. I want to, shout you guys out for doing your thing on TikTok in terms of liking, commenting. Heck, if you guys are even sharing the videos with people that shout out to you guys who are doing that as well. The YouTube Shorts as well have been you doing very well, I would say. So as you guys know, I mentioned it in the last show. We're gonna spend off days differently here, not just on the 27 Outs YouTube channel, but on social media as well. So make sure you guys are up to date with what we have. But without having to say anything else, because I think I got everything out. Stefan, how are you feeling? Any comments on what the past couple of days have been regarding the show or anything else?
I'm busy, man. It's spring training. People getting hurt. People coming back. Teams looking really different heading into opening day. So, if you've been following us on TikTok and Instagram and all the other platforms we're on, Twitter as well, you know that we've been keeping you guys busy with the news. Because as soon as I get news, I send it out, whether it's a contract extension or injury or so we've been working, man. But I'm happy to get back to it and start talking about this thing, man. Let's go.
Right. So, as we told you guys in the last video, and if you're new here and if you don't know, perfect timing because we're about to get into it. So, we told you guys in advance that we were going to continue, our previews, our breakdowns, whatever you want to call it, when it comes to every single division in baseball. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm correct here. We've done the NL East, we've done the AL East, and I think we've done the AL Central, right? That's what we've
Yes,
done so far.
yes.
So we're gonna start today off. We're getting right back into it, as I mentioned, when it comes to the American League West. And must I say, I don't know where exactly you want to start, Stefan, but I shared a clip on TikTok and the Astros fans. I hope you guys are gonna tune in at some point tonight. Whether you're from TikTok or whether you're just an Astros fan, period. We want to have a conversation with you guys. So make sure you guys are active in the chat. And if you're not watching it live, still leave a comment and we'll somehow get back to you. And maybe we could have a conversation like that. What team do you think makes the most sense, now that we know where we're starting?
You mentioned it, so let's go with the Astros, bro. Start it off.
Right. So I don't want to say too much. I actually want to say just a bit regarding what I put out because I'm emphasizing that a lot because I kind of feel like the timing was perfect in which, the reactions that we got just so happened to match up with. Like, it wasn't even a thing where we saw the amount of comments, the amount of traffic that was coming to the 27 Outs brand, period, whether it be on YouTube or on social media. But we already had this planned, right? So the fact that, the two actually made sense at the end of the day, I don't know why Astros fans. I want to start with the Astros. I want to be able to get this out the way, and of course, we're gonna give every team some love at the end of the day when it comes down to tonight's video. But the Astros, last time I checked, and I'm not gonna go over everything that I said. That's why you guys could go back and check the clips or go back and watch the full video at that because you'll get a better understanding as opposed to what you may have seen over the course of 20, 30, 40 seconds, however long that clip was. But yeah, I said I have them finishing above 500. Whether they win the division or not is up to them. But a lot of fans took that as if like I was counting out the Astros overall, which is a little ridiculous. Now, if this bothers you, I hate to say, this is not coming from a standpoint of me trying to hate or anything like that, but I think the rest of Major League Baseball views you guys like this. I think Stefan, before he gets into his point in just a bit, feels the same way, I would say, if not close to that. But it's okay for change, right? And a lot of things have changed, if you would ask me, when it comes to the Houston Astros. Not just this past offseason, obviously losing Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman, but over the past 2 years, right? And in that clip, there were a few names that I had mentioned. But a lot of people seem to have a lot of hope in the guys that the Astros have been able to acquire over the past year or so. Your thoughts on that, Stefan? Because I'd like to hear something that you said last year again, but a little deeper. But also your thoughts on some of the things that were said to us over the past few days.
So I'll put it to you this way: sometimes we don't like to hear the truth when it's presented to us, and most times I'm going to tell you the truth earlier than most. And I said during the season last year, early on, we weren't even, I think, 2 weeks in. I said, this run is done of the Astros being the dominant team in the American League, let alone the American League West. I think when you look at what the Astros have done, right, you understand, listen, dynasties are meant to fall apart, and they're not meant to be dynasties forever. And what you saw was foundational cracks in what they had built. The lineup overall wasn't as deep. The rotation overall wasn't as good. And people took it as, oh, you guys are slighting the Astros. No, we're not slighting the Astros. But when you make 7 straight championship series, there has to be some regression to the mean. And when I tell that to people, it's like, oh, you're a Yankee fan hater. You don't want to see the Astros succeed. Listen, the Astros being good is better for this show, because you know what that means? That means we get Astro fans to come and engage, whether it's here or all our other platforms. So we're not trying to, quote unquote, crap on the Astros because we want to sound smarter than everybody else. What it comes down to is, when you look at this team, just look at it from this perspective. You got Jose Altuve playing left field. Now, he did it of his own volition. He told the Astros he's willing to do this. But you are willing to sacrifice defense to do what? Isaac Paredes is not Alex Bregman. You know, I like some of what the Astros have. Like, I think Alvarez is going to be a good hitter still. Yordan Alvarez, I still think.
Oh,
I
of
think
course.
Isaac Paredes in that ballpark is going to do his thing. But defensively, they're going to be catastrophic.
Right.
Watching them play defense is going to hurt your eyes. You know, you need guys like Jeremy Pena, the young shortstop, to step up. You're going to need guys that you think are going to help you, like Joey LaProfito, the left fielder that they picked up from Toronto. You're going to need him to step up. At some point, there's going to have to be some guys other than, especially with Kyle Tucker gone, you're going to need guys to fill out those offensive roles or voids that were left by the guys that are no longer there. Alex Bregman, I don't care that he had a down year. He's still a prolific offensive player when he's healthy, and I think Alex Bregman is going to have a hell of a year in Boston. Where they get to replace that from, who knows? Are you going to get the next step from a guy like Ben Brown, the kid Brown, in the rotation? Is Jake Bloss going to take the next step? Is Yordan Alvarez going to continue to be healthy? Is Valdez going to stay healthy? Like, there's a lot of things that the Astros need to happen to be good again. And that being said, listen, they got some young talent. That kid, Cam Smith, he just had 4 hits against the Mets yesterday. He can hit. He can swing it. The problem is, I don't like their bullpen. The starting rotation leaves a lot to be desired. And it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to say, you know what? We've been ruling this division for almost 10 years now. Somebody else got to come grab it. It's just it's the law of averages. It just happens. Does it mean that the Astros can't come out this year and start out like gangbusters? Like, I'm encouraged that you heard Lance McCullers is going to get into a game soon.
I'm glad you brought up like the start and how they get off when it comes to the 2025 season, because last year, for those of you who remember, it was a a terrible start, I must say, for the Houston
Right.
Astros, which caused a lot of people, including us, I would say at the time, to really sit back and say, "Oh, well, this ain't the same Houston Astros that we've been so accustomed to watching for
Mm-hmm.
X amount of years now."
Right.
But again, Stefan, even if I were to put myself in the shoes of a Houston Astro fan, right, listening to everything that you just said, listen, whether you think they're gonna get far or not is up to you, and whether a Houston Astro fan thinks otherwise is up to them at the end of the day, right? And that's why this platform is perfect for you guys to come here and share your opinion on everything, right? But at the same time, I mean, you got to face reality. Like, the facts are the facts.
So,
The team
and
is very different, and some of you didn't like the fact that I said the team has done a good job at still making things look good. I mean, last time I checked, I'm still giving you credit by stating that. Like, I
no,
really don't
it
understand.
feels to them, it feels like a slap in the face because they will tell you, well, we were just in the championship series 2 years ago. We were in the World Series 2 years before that. What do you mean we're making it look good? This is
Right.
what we've done, and this is what we continue to do, right? And I understand why.
That's where they lose me, though, because, well, they lose both of us, I must say, because we don't believe that's what they're going to continue to do.
Yeah, but that's not our job to believe it or not. Our job
Right.
is to tell you whether it's likely or not. And the answer
Yeah.
is no. Listen, to be honest, Christian Walker's injury is worrisome. I understand they said he's okay. It was just a twinge. He's all right. He went for an MRI. Everything came back clean, so everything's good. But to sit here and act like you're not worried, because I pulled this up before we started recording. Christian Walker missed the last 30 games of the regular season with that same oblique. All right.
Hmm.
So when we start talking about should we be concerned, should we not, I'm very concerned because
Right.
that means you irritated it. You must have did something to irritate it, and you missed time, significant time, with that oblique. And here's the reality of it: obliques don't get healthier when you're 34, 35, 36 years old. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna, and it's a soft tissue injury. So if you come back too fast, you got something to really think about. And also, I just I don't live in a fairy tale world, right? Like, I could see a scenario where the Astros get to the championship series, and I could see a scenario where they miss the playoffs altogether and look like one of the worst teams in the American League. There's
Wow.
no in between because you look at it, look at what's going on in the American League West. We're gonna get into it tonight. I
Mm-hmm.
think Texas is better than you. I think to be honest with you, right? We're not nobody's sitting here saying, yo, Seattle's pitching is no joke. Even with George Kirby going down, who we're gonna get to in a second.
Right.
Seattle's gonna pitch with anybody in the league, right? So right now, Seattle looks like a formidable foe, right? The Angels brought in a lot of veteran players.
Yeah.
Whether you
Completely
believe
different team, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, whether you think they're going to be able to sustain it or not, that's another conversation for another time. However, the American League West is going to look different, and dare I say, here come the Athletics. Like Vegas, the Athletics aren't going to be as bad as they were in previous years.
I think they'll win a
They're
couple
not.
more games, but
They're
I
going
still
to.
have them finishing below 500.
I got them right at 500.
At 5, really?
Yes,
So if you say that, are we looking at 4 teams in that division finishing at 500 or higher?
I think so.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think so.
Because
I think
I was more so at 3 with I got Texas, the Mariners, and obviously the Astros, who we just finished talking about, and
so.
then Oakland finishing 4th, and then the Angels 5th.
Well, I can see a
Because I
scenario.
also think the Angels are going to win more games too. That's my
Yeah,
point.
I could see a scenario where Seattle finishes in last place.
See, oh no way. Well, if that happens, then that means this year's trade deadline is going to be very interesting.
You got to be able to score runs.
Right. And we all know it too. Speaking of scoring runs, I don't know if you heard this, Stefan, or any of you guys who are watching right now. And shout out to all of you guys who are watching.
Mhm.
Did you hear what Justin Turner said in an interview regarding like what he told the Mariners in terms of what they need to be a
Mhm.
better team.
Yeah,
He
but
basically told them that since he was there, I don't think he's there anymore.
no, he's in
Um,
Chicago. He's with the Cubs now.
Right. So last season, and I believe during the offseason as well, he had stated that he was basically telling the Mariners, like, yo, you guys, as you just mentioned a few seconds ago, Stefan, they could pitch with any team in the league, literally. If not, they probably have the best rotation in baseball on
It's up
paper.
there. It's up
Right.
there.
I know you mentioned the George Kirby injury. That's a huge blow,
Hmm.
but this is why there's been speculation about the Mariners moving on from a guy or two because they have that many guys
Hmm.
who are good enough to listen. We're not talking about dudes that are going to finish with like 4.5 ERA,
Nah,
you know, near five, under
they're all gonna
four,
be sub
on
threes,
the three, some twos. Yeah.
this is what I'm saying. So if you're Houston, if you're the Astros, just to finish them off, you got to pitch with Seattle. Anaheim's gonna score a shit ton of runs. They ain't gonna be able to pitch with nobody, but they're gonna hit. If they're healthy, they're gonna hit.
Right.
Texas, they're gonna do both. To me, Texas is winning that division by at least 4 to 5 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I think it's going to be close for
you know what
sure.
I'm saying? Houston. The thing with Houston is, and then here's the thing: you can't get offended when your owner, Jim Crane, is saying, "You know what? We want to remain competitive, but we don't want to spend on top players." If Kyle Tucker is worth uh 10 years at 400 million, guess what? Spend the 10 years at 400 million.
See, here's my issue with the Astros too, right? Like, not only did you lose Kyle Tucker, but you lost Bregman. You know, it sucks to lose one of them, but the fact that you lost both, that's a
Right.
huge blow. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry, you know, Christian Walker, hopefully he has himself
See,
hell of a
but
season.
that's
But remember, the Houston Astros, they recently, just a couple of years ago, made the decision to want to have Jose Abreu, another older first baseman, and it just didn't pan out, right? After they finally decided to move on from Yuli Gurriel, they were like, yo, we want Jose Abreu. He's going to be our guy. And that didn't last long. In fact,
no.
Jose Abreu looked like a completely different player. Like
Jose
nothing
Abreu,
close to the player he was in Chicago, I would say.
Jose Abreu's not even in baseball, and they still got to pay him for one more
Right.
year.
But the only reason why I mentioned that is because of the situation that they're in now with Christian Walker. Obviously, Christian Walker, better defender, probably better player overall, right? Because Jose Abreu in his prime, boy, was he a problem.
Right.
But
But he wasn't in his prime.
Christian Walker's also an older guy, though. So, you know, I'm not saying that this situation is going to happen all over again, but you know, it's certainly a possibility
So
that
it's
this
like,
just doesn't pan out for them.
but let me tell you what it's like. It's like cutting your nose off to spite your face. You ever heard that saying?
I haven't. No, I
That
haven't.
means you're willing to cut your nose off to save your face when the whole face needs to be reconstructed. You might as well keep the nose too, because you look like shit. Right? The reality of it is this. Look, man, look, I'm not sugarcoating shit. I don't care how anybody feels about it. Right? Christian Walker's a nice player, but I don't wake up thinking how many home runs and how is Christian Walker going to kill me today, right? I like some of the players they acquired. I got it, right? I understand all that, but the reality of it is, to me, this is simply an owner in Jim Crane who does not want to quit. He does not want to say, "Oh, we're not contending anymore." If you're really not content, if you really want to keep contending, why didn't you bring Bregman back? Why didn't you try to resign? Why didn't you try to sign Kyle Tucker before he was a year away from free agency? If contending is what you're really about, then you should have paid those players. You had no problem paying Josh Hader. You had no problem paying Jose Abreu.
Right.
You had no problem paying Justin Verlander those 2 extensions. But your homegrown guys, you tell fuck you to? I don't understand this logic. And Dana Brown, who's supposedly a scout, right? Dana Brown, what have you really been scouting? I looked the farm system came out today, the farm system rankings. The Astros are ranked 29th. According to Brian McTaggart of MLB.com. 29th. 29th is not, that's damn near last.
Right.
So You did all this to try and keep the window open. And I'm sorry, but I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this comment is bullshit. This comment is bullshit. This is a bullshit comment. If that's how they really feel, then you should not be in the sports industry. I'm sorry, but if you can tell me, oh, it's pride. Yo, what is there to be prideful of? You were in the championship series 7 straight years. Sports goes in cycles. Eventually, you were going to have to take a downturn at some point.
Right.
You have to.
We see it in the NBA, like the Golden State Warriors, their run came to an end, right?
Everybody's run ends. So if you're telling me it's state pride, then why didn't you bring the players back that you wanted to sign originally? If you're so concerned with making sure that the state of Houston doesn't go through anywhere else but you, then why didn't you bring back your guys? Your Bregmans, your Tuckers, your guys that you could have re-signed or given contracts to, but you chose not to.
And realistically speaking, I would go as far as to say the moment the Texas Rangers won the World Series 2 seasons ago, that was it.
That shit was done.
That was it. Right.
Right. So like if we're gonna sit here and talk about, oh, it's state pride, no. Have organizational pride. You fucked up. Kyle Tucker's 28 years old. What are we doing? You're gonna let your face of the franchise play left field? You look like fucking clowns. You look like clowns. You got Jose Altuve at 35 years old playing left field. I don't want to talk about this bullshit organization anymore. That's horseshit.
Yeah.
You went from being the gold standard to the fucking piece of shit that's on the bottom of my shoe. Do we got to keep going? And then the way they handled the Bregman situation, like you were so public with the idea that, oh, we drew a hard line in the sand. We drew a hard line in the sand. He was basically begging you to come back. And you didn't even flinch. You didn't flinch. And I'm done. This is going to be an even worse season for the Houston Astros this year. And you could clip that and put it on TikTok, Twitter, clip it all. Come for me. I even tagged the TikTok on the comment.
Speaking of clips, make sure you guys go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, where we've been getting a lot of love. Shout out to you guys again. And Twitter. Everything is at 27outs3c. And for those of you who are watching right now via YouTube Live, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and definitely subscribe if you're new here. Sorry, guys. I just, you guys probably saw my face and it kind of seemed like the sun was suddenly appearing. But I had my brightness down. And then I noticed, I'm like, holy crap, I got to get this thing brighter. Nah, man, but honestly, I'm glad that you broke it down in the way that you did because, you know, I don't think there's a better way to say it, right? You know, I said the little bit that I did, but, you know, this is something that we have talked about in the past. But it made a lot of sense to get back into yet again today because of the division that we're breaking down.
When you see everybody else trying to make moves to improve and you guys are talking about, oh, well, we believe in what we've built. You sound crazy, bruh. Lance, you really relying on Lance McCullers to come back and be healthy?
Oh, please.
You really relying on Christian Walker's oblique to hold up for 162 games? Okay, I'll play along.
All right, so we had talked about the Mariners briefly. I wanted to say something else about the Justin Turner point because I didn't finish it. So not only did he say what he said to them about the pitching staff that they have, but to top it all off, he basically told them, like, all you guys are missing is a bat, right? And speaking of bats, I have a problem here when it comes to the Seattle Mariners stuff. And before I give you the alley-oop here, you know, I'm not saying, you know, damn, you should have gone after Juan Soto or you should have, you know, gotten Christian Walker or something. But there's no way you're telling me that you genuinely tried to secure a legit bat and your answer to your fan base is Jorge Polanco and Donovan Solano. I mean, are you kidding me? No disrespect to those guys, but we've talked about their pitching, and that's the best you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious? Are we serious? I mean, I want to start there because they messed up yet again. Here we are, another year, another season,
It's
and the Mariners are still in need of a bat.
so, but here's the problem, right? Like, and I want to separate the two because this is very important. When ownership doesn't want to spend money, what do you expect the front office to do?
I feel you, bro. But you got all these arms. Make the
Ho-
trade. Make a trade.
Hold on. Where? If you trade, first of all, the two guys I would have traded, they're not going to trade because they're the highest value. See, because me, I want to trade the guy that is highest value. Castillo, we're not doing that. I'm not trading him. He got traded on the tires. I would have started with Kirby and Wu. If you're gonna do it, it gotta hurt. The two best guys in the rotation gotta go. If you're serious about trying to acquire a bat, it ain't gonna be, oh no, we'll trade Castillo. We'll take Castillo. We'll take what's his name? Logan Gilbert.
So you think they're being picky?
Yeah. If you want a real bat, it gotta hurt.
Right.
This ain't gonna be easy and painless. No. I want George Kirby or I want Brian Wu. High upside stuff is what I'm looking for. If I can't have it, you get no bat. You get no bat. And now look, George Kirby's going to be out to start the season. He's on the injured list with inflammation in his throwing shoulder.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's not good. And look,
Right.
I understand where Jerry DePoto's coming from when he says, listen, we're trying, we know what we're listening to the fan base. But what do you expect Jerry DePoto to do when ownership says, yo, we can't do this? The money's not there for us to do this. And I agree with your point. Then trade for a bat. But the problem is, if you trade for a bat, if when he becomes a free agent in a few years, are you going to be able to retain that player?
Right.
Because if not, we're doing this all over again. What I would do is I wouldn't trade these two pitchers for bats. I would trade them to deepen up the farm system so that you can keep turning out young players who are inexpensive. Because if you're going to
forget about now
at this point,
right?
What other choice do you have?
Because I see the Mariners, and I'm in no way saying like this team is as good or better than the team that I'm about to mention. But just thinking about like what things were like, for example, the 2015 Mets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Prior to them landing Cespedes, all we talked about was the amount of arms that they had, the potential all of these guys had, and how good it looked on the field for them that season. I kind of feel like the Mariners are in a similar situation right now where you've got all these arms, you got relievers, you got starters up the ass. And you're like a Yoenis Cespedes away from really making some noise. Like not only winning the American League West, but making some noise in the American League possibly.
But this is why I said to you, my goal with Seattle Mariners was really simple. Go sign Pete Alonso. If you can't sign Pete Alonso, I would have said fuck it, took a shot and traded a year for Vladimir Guerrero, put him in the middle of my lineup with J-Rod, see how he felt about it, because you're going to have to make an uncomfortable decision. If you can't recruit free agents to come to Seattle, you're going to have to make trades that hurt. It ain't going to be free and easy. If you're really in a financial bind, right? Like this is where if you're the Mariners with all the bats that are sitting in Baltimore, why are you not calling the Orioles and saying, yo, what young position players are you trying to come off of that we could get a hold of to get you some pitching?
Right. Or hit up the Boston Red Sox as well. Red Sox got themselves some prospects too.
Right. Roman Anthony. You got a guy like Roman Anthony. You got a guy like Marcelo Meyer. You got a bunch of Tristan Campbell's in a name that everybody's talking about right now. So it could go a bunch of different ways. I also see it how I see other franchises. Like we were just talking about the Astros and how they're penny pinching around the edges. We'd like to keep our own players, but it's going to be expensive. This is why the moment you re-signed Julio Rodriguez to that massive extension a couple years ago, you put the clock on your franchise, bro, because you're wasting valuable years of his
What was that
trying.
worth, by the way? Okay.
14 years, I think they get. I
Mhm.
think anywhere between 11 to 14. I think it was like, I think if I'm not mistaken, 11 years.
He signed 12 years. It was a $209 million contract
So
extension.
12 years. All right. I thought it was like
Really?
11.
Damn.
Yeah. And
Kind of feel
think of,
like he settled there, man.
I mean, you know what I say about that. When you coming from an impoverished
Yeah.
circumstance and somebody throws through $200 million at you,
Get it while you can.
shit. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So it's easier for us to say he settled because we see what's out there on the market. But can you blame a young brother who's 21, 22, never seen that type of money in his life?
Right.
And I don't got to worry about being my finances being a problem, even if I play like shit. Give me the money now. Pay up.
Yeah. I
Pay
get
up.
it, man. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if I was a pro athlete and I would cave in as well.
I mean, yo, because, and then here's the thing, right? But like, if you're going to do the J Rod extension and put nothing else behind him, you look nuts.
Right.
You
And that's
look
exactly what they did.
nuts. You look
Hmm.
absolute. This is like King Felix all over again. But I would say it's worse because you gave him an 11-year deal. You look
Like it's
absolutely
so bad for the Mariners because not only are you hearing it from the media, but you have one of your own players or former players
former
now
play. You look
who was telling
nuts.
you, like, yo, what people are saying about us is true, man. Like, you guys have to do it.
And here's the thing. I like some of Seattle's young players. I like a guy like Kyle Riley, the catcher. Of course, I'm a J Rod fan.
Yeah.
I
It's
like
crazy. Kyle Riley might be like the second best bat in that lineup, bro. Honestly,
that's
other than
crazy.
Julio. No disrespect to Kyle Riley, because I think he's on a come up for sure.
No,
But
yeah,
when you sit here and say like these are the arms they're bringing out and these are the bats that are going to protect them,
that's
I
crazy.
mean, does that really make sense?
And so I sit here, right? Because people are saying, yo, but why, why are you guys killing Seattle? I'm not killing Seattle. I just want to make it be known, like that pitching, you should not have a pitching that's that good, and you can't do nothing to sustain this. Like even their bullpen with a guy like Andres Munoz. You know what Andres Munoz, if you put him on the open market right now, do you know what he gets you? He gets you an absolute crazy haul if you
Right.
told somebody, listen, one of the best closers in the game is available, and you can have him for a healthy bat. You imagine if, for example, right? Look at what we're about to get into, right? The Texas Rangers need a closer. They have none. Kirby Yates is in Los Angeles now. Not
Right.
Kirby Yates. Who's the other Yates? That
There's two
signed.
Yates?
There was another Yates. Kirby Yates. Yeah, Kirby
Right,
Yates.
Kirby, yeah.
That was the closer in Texas. They need a closer now, right? Like I know it's an interdivision trade, but yo, see if you could get them to come off of Wyatt Langford, younger player, Evan Carter, a younger player. Like you need bats, bro. You got to do things that are desperate. I'm not saying that everything you do is gonna work, but you got to do something because I know we talked about the 2015 New York Mets. They had Cespedes coming at the right time. Right now, there's no Yoenis Cespedes walking through that door in Seattle,
Right, of course.
and that's
But I
that's
was just saying, like, in terms of what I think could be next for them if they go about it right, like that I think is what's missing for that team to really take off, is to be able to put somebody alongside J Rod and Kyle Riley. And now you've got three legitimate bats in the
so
lineup to go along with a deep starting rotation.
a guy that I would keep an eye on is Emerson Hancock, the one of the top prospects in the system.
Right.
This dude can flat out hit. He can hit. Seattle's they got one with him. So the problem is, it's like, yo, okay, he can hit, but that's one dude. And the moment, like, oh, but we got Randy Rosarena, and we got this one, and we got, I'm like, all right. Is it enough? JP Crawford's a nice player. I like JP Crawford. Light with the bat, great defensively, but light with the bat. You know, Randy Rosarena, there's sometimes where he looks unbelievable, and there's sometimes where the guy's looking like he's swinging at like what are you doing, bro? Like you're the
he's
generic
he's too
version.
he's too busy worried about where the camera's at, bro. You know, he loves to
Yeah,
be the center of
yeah, no,
attention.
it's kind of crazy. And so I was sitting there thinking, like, yo, who would be a bat that I'd love to go acquire if I'm Seattle?
Right.
And the two names I came up with are Luis Robert in Chicago. Like that's a bet you go get. Luis Robert in Seattle with J Rod, and now a Rosarena slots down a peg. Kyle Riley slots down a peg. Now your lineup got some thump to it because now we could go J Rod, we could go Robert, we could go Bubba. You see what I'm saying? Now there's some girth to that lineup, and you're like, hold up.
Right.
Now I gotta pitch to these motherfuckers. Chicago's the first team you should be calling. What are they doing with Luis Robert in the rebuild? Go get that man. Not only do you go get him, but go re-sign him. Yo, here's a 10-year deal for like 250, 300. Go get it done.
Yo, call me crazy, and I don't want to sound like somebody who is getting ahead of themselves when I say this,
Right.
but you know, I think you could count me out after 2025. Count me out when it comes to the Seattle Mariners and believing in that rotation and what it could possibly be. I'm over it. You
I'm
know,
out.
they're still gonna have a handful of guys, I'm sure. But
So
how many years are we now just talking about the same thing? And I don't say that in a bad way in terms of content, right? But I say that in a bad way, literally when it comes to just the Mariners and the Mariners only.
so Jerry DePoto, he gave an interview, the president, he gave an interview where he said, yo, everything we do, we're judged harshly for. Like when we tell you the truth of how we're dealing with financial constraints, we're judged harshly for it. If we tell you we can't make a certain move, we're judged harshly for it. If we try to go for the gusto and it doesn't work, like a Rosarena, we're judged harshly for it. We gave J Rod the money, he didn't perform last year. The media killed us for it. The fans kill us for it. Whatever I do or say, I'm going to get crucified. He said, I'm going to get roasted. They're going to roast me. Right? So
So
Jerry,
what are his feelings, sir?
I mean, at that point, I would be because, like, damn, everything I tried is no good. But also, we got to understand this is not a Jerry DePoto problem. This is a front office who chooses to avoid, not front office, but an ownership group that chooses to avoid the truth, which is if you ain't going to spend money, you might as well sell the team. I feel like that's a common theme of our last few shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like there's going to be a common theme up to when, oh, here's this word again. Here's this word again, kids, till we hit the lockout at the end of the 2026 season. Sell the team is going to be on the lips of about 12 fan bases, Mariners included, by the time we get to the end of the 2026 season.
I mean, if I'm J Rod at that point, I would be looking to get him out of there. Honestly, I don't want to be a part of nothing else.
If I'm J Rod right now, I'm calling Rock Nation, yo, find me a motherfucking franchise that wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
If you J Rod right now, you causing ruckus. You trying to get the hell up out of there. Right? Like if you're J Rod, I'd tell you one place I'm trying to go. Can you imagine J Rod? And I thought about this long and hard. You imagine Julio Rodriguez with the Mets?
Oh my gosh, dude! If that would have happened, that would
I
be
don't
insane.
I don't recognize his name here. I gotta. What's
Neo
up?
Vamp. Nah, look new here.
New bro, what's going on? Welcome.
Neo Vamp, welcome to the channel, bro. Shout
Who are
out to
you?
you.
Who are you a fan of? Are you a fan of anybody we're talking about tonight? Are you a Mariner fan? Are you an A fan? Who are you a fan of? Please.
Speaking of the A's, that deal that what's this dude's name? Is it Lawrence Butler?
Yeah.
Who agreed to that deal? He's another guy who I think in a couple of years, some people are saying it already, but I think it's going to start to show real quick where,
Mhm.
we're going to be talking about, this guy kind of settled for, a little bit little bit of money that he shouldn't be earning because the potential was just way more, you know.
Yo,
And he's
like
not a
even
bad player. He had a decent season for them
I'm
last
gonna
season.
tell you this right now. That Brent Rooker contract looks crazy. You
Yeah.
see the contract they gave Brent Rooker? What was it like? 5 years, 90 million, something like that, or 5 years, 60, but it could get up to
5 years.
90.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That contract looks nuts. It look yo. You put Brent Rooker on the open market tomorrow, he's getting the bag of all bags,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah,
What?
very underrated. One of the best power hitters in the games, I would
Oh
say.
my goodness.
Yeah, for 2 seasons in a row.
So
Still a
it's
young
like,
guy too.
so to finish off the Seattle point, I'll tell you this. I love Seattle's pitching. I was a fan of them for the last few years. I don't trust it. I don't think they're going to do what they have to do to augment this roster. And it has nothing to do with Jerry DePoto. It has everything to do with the fact that your ownership group just refuses to pull out the checkbook and do something substantial to the point where I can at least take you seriously. Because here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's getting better. Boston's getting better in the American League. Kansas City ain't going nowhere for a hot minute. All right, you better hope that Texas ain't going nowhere either. They got a bunch of young hitters, right? And they got money. Like, you got some questions you got to answer, and eventually, the Angels are gonna get back to spending some significant money because it's Artie Moreno and he's impatient. He's gonna want to spend money at some point.
Right.
So, like, you're gonna have to deal with at least four to and listen, who's to say that Oakland doesn't surprise us in the next few years and make the playoffs and have us looking like, oh shit, Sereno, Jeff Springs, like, you're Seattle, your
Yeah,
window.
I got the Mariners, not the Mariners, excuse me. I got the A's, honestly, winning around like maybe 75 games
Yeah, I got them at 500. I got the A's at 500.
at
Yeah,
500, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
do
because
because
when you look at the moves that they made, in addition to like what they already have, and we talked about a couple of guys so far,
mhm.
you know that only means wins, especially if guys are able to stay on the field. And listen, whether they repeat what they did last season, especially a guy like Luis Severino, is
Yeah.
besides the point. Because you know it's not like
Mhm.
the A's are trying to make some serious noise, but they've got themselves something going on.
So speaking of the A's hired a new team president. While the reason why this is important is because um the new team president they hired is the same person that led the move from from with Vegas with the Raiders from Oakland to Vegas. Why is it important? He was also let go by the Raiders because they found inaccuracies in their accounting with their books,
Wow.
right? So you hiring a guy who is good with, stadiums and getting things recognized and all that type of stuff, but you don't know if he's trustworthy, and you're bringing him into a foxhole when you're trying to get a new arena.
Mm-hmm.
I when you're trying to get a new ballpark, rather, it's Oakland got. I mean, the A's got some stuff they got to figure out,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And here's the thing: John Fisher, the owner, came out and said, "Oh, we want to break ground by 2028." Their renderings of the stadium just came out today. There were new renderings that came out. I don't know if you saw them, but it looks cool if it gets built. But I have my suspicions and my skepticisms of
I
whether it's
think I
going to
know
get
what you're
built or
talking
not.
about. I saw a video on the Oakland A's Instagram page,
Yeah.
and I believe it was, I guess, a preview of what it's going to look like, and it had like some animated fans in there and whatnot. It looked cool, I would say.
Yeah, it looks cool, but the likelihood of you actually trying to get it to the finish line, that's
By
another.
2028.
Yeah, I mean, not even by 2028. Just the idea that you get it to the finish line close enough where you can even break ground and get it done. Like, they got to do this now. Like,
Yeah.
John Fisher came out and said earlier today in the article, he said, we're hoping to break ground by June. And I'm like, June when? This year? Because there's a lot of lawmakers in Vegas that don't want this.
Hmm.
Taxpayers don't want to foot the bill. They don't want to. Um, Oakland doesn't seem like a viable option. So unless John Fisher's going to have some money saved up somewhere where he's going to be able to foot the majority of this bill, that's going to be tough.
That sucks, man. Because I remember it's been a while now, but I remember the years when the A's, they were fun to watch, man. Especially when they would make the playoffs. It's not really something that they do anymore. Obviously, they're preparing for that as they move into the new stadium, of course. But yeah, man, the A's they got to get things going from the top down, not from the bottom up. Like there's a lot of things going on there up top.
And the sad thing is that you know how much revenue he could have brought into um he could have brought back into Oakland, but he just purposely let the team rot so that he could leave. Are you kidding me? You know how sick uh you gotta be as a businessman to tell your previous constituency, fuck you, you don't matter anymore. By the way, the name of the guy who's the president is Mark Baden.
Hmm.
He was let go by the Vegas Raiders in 2023. I mean 2021 rather, after they found inaccuracies in their accounting and in their
How is it so
books.
easy for him to just be able to move on to the next project, knowing that he's got this reputation now? Like,
Well,
shouldn't something like that be attached to your name, especially if you remain in the industry?
yeah, well, he's done other
I mean, this
projects.
is this is rich people issues anyway, I must
No,
say.
yeah,
But
we talking about first class rich motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
yeah, but I'm just saying though, like it's kind of
Right.
crazy how you were talking about him doing one thing and then literally just a couple years later now with the A's, he's on to the next.
So, and the thing that shocked me is that he's not even a part of like any committee. They named him team president, which means he's going to be spearheading a lot of these efforts. Ooh, man, like that's rough.
Hmm.
And the way they're doing Sacramento, like Sacramento, I understand it's a pit stop, but damn. So I read a story tonight. They're gonna have Vegas on the arm patch while playing in Sacramento.
Wow.
I was like, hold up, wait, what?
So wait, so here's my question, and I don't think we've ever
That's
gotten an Oakland A's
nuts.
fan to. I mean, is it really? I shouldn't say Oakland anymore. I'm gonna just say the A's. Forget Oakland. I don't think we've had an A's fan. I want to
Hey,
say in the chat before, but I'd like to know, what do you guys? How do you guys feel first and foremost?
that's
Not just that,
crazy,
but
bro.
what do you call them now? Like, are we calling them the Las Vegas A's before it officially happens, or
Wow.
do we just call them as the A's? I'm confused
That's
now.
crazy. That's so crazy. By the
Right.
way, guys, I got an interesting little challenge for you guys tonight. So our subscriber count says 179.
Hmm.
There's one new person in here I know we never seen before. Help us get to 180, guys. 180. We one subscriber away from 180 subs. Help us get to 180 right there. Because the ultimate goal is we want to be at 200 by opening day.
Right. Which is 20 days away. I saw a post
Yeah.
earlier
So
today on Instagram,
we
and we
20
are,
days away
yeah.
from opening day from a new season, but that 180 will look sweet right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not
All
gonna
right.
lie at
Well,
all.
you guys have been doing a good job, I must say, in terms of just showing love in general. And speaking of subscribing, a few of you did actually join the channel. So for those of you who are new and recently subscribed, shout out to you guys.
For sure. But like, nah, the way that they're doing Sacramento is like Sacramento's this like Sacramento feels like the rebound relationship where you left the long relationship in Oakland. Like, you know what I mean? We've been there for years. She just got on my nerves, so I said, fuck it. Sacramento feels like this new unexplored, piece of, you know what I mean? Like, all right, I'm gonna go see what this hitting for. You know what I mean? You talk to her for a few years, you realize, she ain't really, you know what I mean? She got some good qualities, or he got some good qualities, but they ain't relationship material. You know what I'm saying? And then like to have the owner, John Fisher, come out and say, "Oh, I think they're gonna get an expansion team down the road." Damn, bro, you just out here just being disrespectful, placating them, and you putting Vegas on a uniform patch. You was out here being downright disgusted.
Hmm.
You being disgusting to
Let
that
me
fan
ask you,
base.
speaking of the expansion teams, do you think between now and the end of Rob Manfred's tenure, we see the two additional teams that he'd like to
No,
add? No, right? Yeah, I was
no.
thinking no as well.
Because here's the other thing, and I'm not trying to make this a whole stadium thing, but the A's ain't the only one dealing with this. Tampa is too.
The Rays, right? Yeah.
And if
Mhm.
Tampa doesn't get a new stadium, or if Tampa doesn't get even financing, which I don't think they're gonna get, that's two teams playing in minor league ballparks, bro. And
Mhm.
just think about this: the renovation for the Trop,
Could you imagine if they can't pack those ballparks out this season? How
the
bad that would look?
the renovation for the Trop is $700 million just to renovate the roof of Tropicana Field.
Right.
At that point, fuck renovating the roof. Go find somebody to, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know. But we want to add 30. We want to add two more teams because we're doing shit that's like ass backwards. But I'm not here to yell because
It's kind of crazy how he would say something like that with a lockout right around the corner. Like, dude, you must not know what's happening in your sport when you are supposed to be the guy, but you're not the guy.
hold on. Put that last comment up. I gotta do something because you in here.
By
He in
Rick,
here. Yeah, he in here preaching. He
I'm
you in
calling
here
them the A's. They shouldn't even have Vegas as a name. Funny.
like you in here preaching, my brother. Come on now.
That's why I had asked because I thought it was a valid question.
That's crazy. Are you kidding me? And then you gonna just slap me in the face and then tell me you don't want to admit it?
Mhm.
Hold on, that's crazy.
That's a funny comment here by Shrek. Call the Rays the Steinbrenner Rays and the Sacramento Rays.
All
Steinbrenner
right,
Rays is crazy.
let's get to some of these comments, man, because there's a few
Mhm.
comments in here. So let's get to these comments. There's a clip in here that we talked about early on. It's actually a little clip. If you want to go back and look at it, there's the title, the Houston Astro clip. Matter of fact, Ivan, if you could find that, the clip he's talking about,
Yeah.
if you
I
just
got
want
you.
to post that at some point. Um, Emilio says, I don't trust Seattle. And we don't disagree with you, brother. We right there with you. Shrek says we got aggressive stuff tonight. Nah, not so much aggressive. Just I don't think I think we curtail how we feel too much, and we got to be more open with our feelings because people just, it's not like you ain't. It's either you save the baby or you throw the baby out the bathwater. You can't have the bathwater and save the baby at the same time. Either one or the other. Razor says, "Don't be calling my comment bullshit. My apologies, but I thought the comment was straight up bullshit, so I called it out. But I love you too, though." He went right at you. That's funny. The shit crazy. Nah, it's all love. I made the logo.
Hold on. Who let me show this one. Neo, who could do we know who you are? How's everything going?
Nah, we don't know who you are, bro.
Because we're trying to we noticed you at least like 2 or 3 times now, but you're not saying much. Like, do you
But
know us? Because the way you're asking this is
yeah,
like
nah. Like,
as if you know us. If not,
do we know
that's why
you?
we asked you, like, who are you a fan of? Welcome to the channel.
I'm
What
trying to
is your
look. I'm trying
name?
to look in his. I'm trying to look at his YouTube profile picture to get a clear indication of who he roots for, but
Right.
we can by the way, here's the video in the chat. Thank you, Ivan. You know what I mean? So if you guys want to come back, is in here. So you guys can take a look at that. But to be honest, guys, look, to me, this is a two-team division. This is a two-team division. I think it's the Rangers. And I'm gonna surprise you when I say this. I think the Angels are gonna be better than people think.
The Angels.
I think they're gonna be better than people think.
Damn, bro. I'm not there yet, but
I
okay.
mean, I'm cool with that.
Hmm.
But you got a lot of veterans on that ball club. Travis Darno, a lot of pride.
Right. They made a lot of moves. I mean, a bunch of moves, right?
Nah, this
Similar to what are you gonna show?
that's funny. Could be though.
Nah, come on,
Could be
dude.
though.
Like honestly, no. I give the Mariners and the Astros way more respect than that. I can't do that yet. I could see the Angels finishing
Yeah,
probably with a better record than the
because
Yanks.
I like the Angels pitching and that bullpen with Ben Joyce. Now you got Kenley back there, veteran.
Yeah.
Your lineup looks a little better. I think you're gonna get a bounce back year from Young Moncada because he's playing for a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
Just the bats that they've signed. Yoel Moncada's one.
Jorge Soler's another guy.
Jorge Soler, right. I know they
Right.
signed Tim Anderson to a minor league deal. Yusei Kikuchi is
You
now in the
say
starting
Kikuchi's in the
rotation.
starting rotation now? Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna be a better team. Now whether they finish around 500 or not, I think you have more hope in that than me.
But the reason why I say that is because I don't outside of Texas, the division's very up in the air.
Right.
It can be competitive, but it's up in the air. And one thing about veteran players, they're gonna bring those younger players along. Like, hey man, this is how you be in a professional. This is how you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is how you do it. Listen, and don't get me wrong. Like, I like Oakland's club too, with Shea Langoliers and the kid Butler we mentioned, and Brent Rooker, and Oakland got a team. But you look at across the dugout, I think Joey Adele. Like, you're gonna take the next step, Joe Adele. You're gonna be the guy that we all thought. Zach Neto, their shortstop, is actually starting the season on the injured list, so that's a big blow. But if everybody comes back healthy, they can at least be competitive enough where credit Perry Manazian, the general manager, for at least telling you, yo, we're gonna at least be willing to at least try. Where most teams just want to pocket this money. By the way, if they didn't have their Anthony Rendon contract on their books, they'd be free to do a whole bunch of other things right now.
Yeah, I think they would have been amongst the teams that would have been in on some of the free agents that were available in the offseason.
If I'm them, I would
That's
have.
the one thing about the Angels. Like, yeah, they've ran into some bad luck when it comes to contracts, but
Mhm.
they're not afraid to spend money.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like the only reason why I don't think they're signing Arenado is or trading for Arenado rather is because they got Rendon just sitting there, and I'm not throwing good money after bad. But if Rendon wasn't there and they needed a third baseman, they probably trade for Arenado. West Coast kid from California, you
Right.
know what I'm saying? I could see it. And
Nah, Rick, you can't be serious, bro. You see this? You got
nah,
that's wild. You got the A's and the Angels both ahead of the Astros and Mariners. I'll give you one. I'll give you one, bro.
the Mariners, I'll give you. I don't know about the Astros though. That's tough. That's tough.
Right.
But who knows, man? Baseball's weird and wacky where you can
Mhm.
it can look a certain way on paper, but then you look back at it and you're like, nah, you know what? That actually made sense. You know, but sellers are not the same.
Ooh, that's a bold statement. You see that?
But sellers are not the same way as it used to be, right? And I'm not calling you out, Rick, because I'm doing this all in love. Teams are not going to be willing to sell off major pieces if they're a game and a half, 2 games out of the wild card spot.
Yeah.
The second and third wild card spot changes the definition of selling and buying. So while I get the point in theory, because it's a great point, I don't necessarily believe that you can follow through in practice. Because if they're still close enough to the second or third wild card spot, they're not selling off pieces.
That's right.
Especially with Jerry DePoto there as the president and Justin Hollinger as the general manager. They're not going to just sell off pieces. They're not.
Some people actually thought that they should have done a couple of things last season, and they
I
chose not to.
I agree, but here's to tell you: if they didn't do it last year, and what's to make you think they're going to do it this year? There has to be either a catastrophic injury that forces them to do something like this, which we don't want to see,
Mhm.
or you basically fire the entire front office staff.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I've got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, I just the way that they've been moving, they're not just gonna give up on a season and say, "Oh, we're gonna sell off pieces." I don't see that. To the 7 people in here, what is up? Leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. You know, you know what I mean. So, and also you can follow us. We're on a whole bunch of socials, and Ivan, the list is as long as my arm now, bro.
Yeah, I got you. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at 27 ounce 3C.
Yeah, man. We you could get access to all the content, all the reels we put up, all the shorts. We'll
Shout out to the
also
TikTok, man. I feel like right now we have two home bases, like YouTube being the primary headquarters, and then we've
uh,
got a second office in TikTok now. And I say that because a lot of love, obviously with the YouTube, but
mhm.
with the TikTok being out for what, maybe 2 weeks, no more than that now.
we
We've
already
gotten a lot of love on the
we're
TikTok.
damn near at 30 followers on TikTok and damn near a week
Yeah.
and a half. So shout out to y'all.
hmm
But this division could go either way. This division could go either way. I'm not as high on the Mariners as I was last year and the year before that. I
Yeah,
don't.
I know you were because I remember how highly you spoke about them.
Yeah, I just
hmm
they kind of pissed me off
Yeah.
because I wanted to see them go for it. When you got a chance to go for it, you know who the Mariners are? They're the Blue Jays. All this hype, homegrown talent. Yo, we're gonna be here for years. Blah 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 blah. And you never push the chips in the middle of the table.
Right.
And now you're looking like, well, goddamn, what do we do? Now you might have to trade two of those pitches. Now you ain't got no other choice. The question is who and for what? You know what I'm saying? Like now it might be out of your hands. If Oakland's better than, me and you are projecting, because I got Oakland at 500, but who's to say they can't win 85, 87 games? The pitching is decent. Severino, Jeff Springs, the kid JP Sears. The pitching is decent. Like you got
They've got
Milson,
a closer too.
you got Mason Miller at the back end of the bullpen. Like
hmm
it's there's no reason why the A's can't be competitive, right? But let's not sleep on the Angels either. And the other thing is, you don't think Ron Washington is going to push these veterans to be better? Ron Washington is a veteran manager that's been through the grind, man. He knows.
How old is Ron Washington, man? I
He
know he's getting
knows.
up there in age. Ron
He's got to be in
Washington,
his mid 60s, right?
72 years old.
God, shout out to
Mm.
Ron Washington, man.
Out here still working.
Doing hell yeah. And that's the other thing. I feel like certain managers in certain situations get jobs when they're set up to fail. Like, why'd you give Ron Washington that job when you felt like, yo, we ain't winning nothing? Like, if I'm Ron Washington, you know what job I want? Why does Brian Snicker get the Braves job? And I've been with the Braves for damn near 10 years, and you didn't even consider me?
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember him being a part of that coaching staff.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, like another team that I'm like, they could use a guy like this, right? Why didn't Toronto hire a guy like Ron Washington? You got veteran players. This guy's been all over the big leagues. That's the guy you hire, not John Strider or whatever the fuck his name is. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
But we want to. I'm getting off the soapbox because I'm accused that I was aggressive tonight, so I'm gonna be nicer.
So that's four teams, and the last team obviously being the Rangers, who I think are gonna bounce back. Stefan also thinks they're gonna bounce back.
Yes.
If you here tonight who are watching as well think they're gonna bounce back, and rightfully so. Last season I think the Rangers dealt with too many injuries, which
Mhm.
played a big role in why the season turned out to be the way that it did
As
for
bad
them.
as it was, yes.
But ultimately, a lot. The one thing that we did hear about Stefan, the I don't know what the injury was when it came to Adolis Garcia, but is he
Oblique.
good?
Oblique.
Is he good or is he still out?
Touch and go right now.
Right. Okay.
Touch and go.
Because I know,
Because
I mentioned his name in the last show because I said
he
something about the Rangers briefly, but then something
so
came up.
he hurt his right side last year and at the end of the season. This year he came into camp and it's the other side.
Wow.
So we're just hoping that he's able to, that he's all right. Because if he's healthy, boy, does that lineup look a lot different. With Corey Seager was also hurt last year too.
Corey Seager, yeah.
Yeah, Supposed
Mm-hmm.
to surgery, he wasn't the same. Evan Carter hurt his back. He didn't have a impact. Like
Yeah.
a lot of
What
the
I
young
like too, though, like even though they've already had a couple of guys, they also brought in more. Like they brought in Kyle Higashioka behind the plate.
like that,
He played well for the Padres.
like that a lot.
Who's another guy that they brought off the top of my head? Let me see.
They brought in what's his
Voldy
name?
came back.
Nate Eovaldi
Um,
came back, but
Jock
they
Peterson, they gave him a 2-year
Jock
deal.
Peter, $37 million, 2 years,
Hmm.
37. That lineup's gonna be better in Texas this year.
Right.
Like that Ranger lineup is gonna be the one question I got for the Rangers is who's closing games for you. That's my thing. Like, how are we gonna get through late inning situations?
Right.
Because you're not gonna be able to beat everybody 12-3. You're gonna have to pitch your way through some of this. I wonder if a young guy like Kumar Rocker, if they make him a reliever, he becomes like a late inning guy, depending on his arm and how he feels. I know Jack Leiter, they want to give a shot to see what he looks like. Jacob DeGrom actually is pitching or did pitch for the Rangers today. So I want to look at his stat line and see what he looked like and all that type of stuff. But he was supposed to throw today. So I mean, they got a bunch of talent, man. This is the question of can they stay on the field and can they put it together? Wyatt Langford, I love Wyatt Langford. Evan Carter, I was big on
Right.
Wyatt Langford since last year. He was my rookie of the year before it all got torpedoed. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like that team. I like
Yo,
Texas.
call me crazy, dude. And I've seen this already. I've seen it a couple times, right? But just because I know he's getting up there in age. How old is he now, DeGrom? 36, 37? He's up
How
there,
old's
right?
Jacob? He got to be a little past 35, right?
DeGrom, yeah, he's 36 years old right now.
Damn.
Will be 37 in June. Interesting.
Holy
But
shit.
what I was saying is, like, I've seen him pitch, a full season few times in his career, and I would love to see that one last time, right?
Oh
Just
yeah.
to see what something like that not only would be for himself, but for the Rangers to see like what that could mean for them and the
Oh my.
rotation and how far
By
they'd
the
be able to
way,
go having a guy like that at the top of their rotation.
you put him in he's healthy. You slide him behind Valdi, then Leiter could slide down. Then you know what I mean? Then everybody starts to like, okay, we don't gotta worry about it. Big Jake
The
is
crazy thing is too, the stuff is still there. He's still
oh,
good.
he's
Like I
disgusting.
know when we see him, it's only for a few games now, but those few games, boy,
Art.
it looks like he
He
wasn't even
looks
hurt.
he looks like Jake. And the
But the
thing is,
problem is getting him to pitch,
right.
20 to
Yeah.
25 starts. The 30 starts, I don't really want to put a number like that out there on him. But listen, 20 to 25, man. Can you do that for the Rangers, DeGrom? I'd love to see it.
30 starts is a lot of starts, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Once upon a time, that was a thing
I
that,
think I
pitchers would
think
do in their
I
sleep.
think Texas will take it and run if he gives you anywhere between 20 to 23, you taking a run to the bank.
Right.
Like you run. You don't walk. You run. Because that means that he's made the majority of his starts. And I would do the unconventional thing. Yo, you know what? You're not pitching in meaningful games till like June, July. Like there's no reason for you to be pitching in.
I swore I read something like that recently.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's no reason for us to be doing this.
I believe it was something that they had put out the Rangers. I should have saved it. I didn't save it, but I
Mm-hmm.
know they were saying to not for fans not to expect the Grom to pitch like their first couple of games to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably being for the second series of the year as opposed to the first one.
At
And it
that point,
sounds like if they're doing that, they're thinking, right along with what you had just mentioned.
so at that point, this is where I do the unconventional thing, and I'm just like, yo, what is him pitching in the second series going to do for you? Like, what is that show? I mean, what is that? What is him pitching later in the season going to do for you? Like, whether it's the first series, the second series, or the third, you don't really know what you got until you get to like 40 games, 50
Mm-hmm.
games. Like, save him to that point. You want him to pitch all these games now. For what reason other than proving that he's healthy, which is a fair point. However,
Okay, so just to add on to what we're talking about right now, Stefan. So the Rangers right now it looks like they want to go into the season with DeGrom as their number 5. It seems like
So who's the four? Who's the four behind him?
it's a good question.
Because let's do the math on this. Is because who cracks the first four? You would have to think
I
Nathan
know
Eovaldi's the ace.
Evaldi's in there for sure.
Jack Leiter gonna crack the rotation this year? I don't know. That's
Right.
Kumar Rocker definitely not. We going Andrew Heaney resigned again with them, right? Because he was there last year.
But I think if they're doing this, I don't think it's because they don't think they have the options. I think it's to benefit DeGrom, right? Knowing where he's at in age, knowing that,
Right.
unfortunately, he doesn't know how to dial it down. Because that's the thing with DeGrom, man. If he were able to do what Justin Verlander did, especially, when he
Mm-hmm.
was younger, I think we could have been able to enjoy Jacob DeGrom, a bit longer rather than seeing his
Mm-hmm.
career, fizzle out the way that it is right now.
Interesting comment here.
What player are we talking about?
Because yeah, I was like, I saw it, but I'm like, well, who is he referring to? Because
Right.
um, yeah, Jake losing Jake and Jake not being healthy that hurts. Listen, I'm a Jacob DeGrom fan since way back, so I want to see him take the next step because him being healthy is good for the game,
Of course.
and I just think we take for
Oh,
granted.
here we go. So it would be, and this is in no order, but Evaldi, DeGrom, John Gray.
Mm,
They've got Kumar Rocker in here. They've got Jack Leiter, Tyler Maley. They've got a couple of guys, but
okay.
still, now this is my question. Now that we're going through this rotation,
Mm-hmm.
not saying that it's not possible because it definitely is. Because
No.
the other teams that are going to be in contention in the AL West as well, they've
Mm-hmm.
got their fair share of issues as well.
Right.
But this rotation is worrisome, man.
It's
Like I
kind
know
of
the
it's
lineup
kind of
looks
thin.
good,
Yeah,
but
the rotation's thin because
it's
how
gonna be a
many
problem.
how many innings are you getting out of John Gray? Realistically, he's been injury prone the last few years.
Right. Because not only did they lose Kirby Yates, as you mentioned, there was another guy who had been good for them for a couple of seasons. I know his first name is Jose. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Is it Lurlick or you know
Oh,
who
the
I'm talking
closer,
about, right?
Leclerc,
Yes.
Leclerc, Leclerc,
Leclerc. Thank you. Yeah,
Leclerc.
he was another guy who had pitched his entire career
Mm-hmm.
with the Rangers, now with the A's. By the way, big pickup for the A's, I must say. We forgot to mention that, but still good timing because we're still on the topic of the
Yeah,
division itself.
no,
But yeah,
it's
Rangers
yeah.
lost out on him as
Mhm.
well too.
And I'm gonna be honest, like I want to know where the hell they getting, bullpen. All right, are you gonna have to put one of these youngins? Whether I would have a bold idea to preserve innings on Jacob DeGrom's arm. I want him to be in my bullpen, late relief, setup man, closer role,
Yeah.
like
And that would
or
be perfect for him too, since he likes to go all out from pitch one.
yeah,
Yo, do it for an inning or two, man. Go ahead.
short windfall. You be in and out, my boy. You
Mm-hmm.
in, you out, you're done, and you could dominate. It's not like you would have questions whether he can do it. Short burst, he can let it eat
Right.
for inning and 2/3, a full inning. Woo!
His fastball still has a lot of life to it.
Shrek said the game was canceled today, so I'm
It
assuming that
was, yeah.
he's going to be pushed back at some point. But nah, Jake is. So our pitching is fickle, man. One thing you like because we all Jacob DeGrom, one of the best pitchers in the game. Like Jacob DeGrom went from being a surefire Hall of Famer to I don't even know if he's borderline now, just because the years of service are not there.
Right.
You went from being a guy that we were building your plaque. We were putting Jacob DeGrom's
Mm-hmm.
bust in Cooperstown. Now we're not sure if that's even a realistic possibility at this point,
Yeah.
which is a sad reality because when he was healthy, he was special. I would make the argument he was the best pitcher in the game, not just New York, but the game.
Mm-hmm. No, easily, man. And it was for a couple of seasons too. I remember even not being a Mets fan and watching every fifth day, making sure I didn't miss one of his starts because you
Mhm.
just knew what he was going to do. Now, the unfortunate part was that the Mets would blow the game every single time he would be removed, which was terrible to watch, especially if you
Mhm.
had just seen DeGrom like pitch his ass off.
Nah,
But
yeah, it's stuff like that is heartbreaking simply because look at this from this perspective. If you got the Jake of a couple years ago to go with that rotation, and now we can mentor Gray, we can mentor Jack Leiter, we
the
can
younger
mentor
dudes, right?
Kumara.
Yeah.
Who. Now we're talking. Now you're cooking with some oil.
Well, I hope they're definitely going to learn a thing or two from him this season if he's healthy.
But he got to be on the field because how much can I
Yeah.
learn from you when you sitting in the dugout steps chewing gum like me? I
Right.
gotta see you on the field visually going, all right, yo, this is
Hmm.
how we doing it. This is what it's supposed to be.
Right.
And so,
I
you
wonder
know,
if he does make that decision though. If he, if whether it be the Rangers or DeGrom himself just saying, listen, I still got something left in there. You see it,
yes,
but I'm not able to do it over the course of,
it's
25 to 30
tough.
starts per
It's
year. So
tough.
why not turn into a reliever and come out of the pen, give him what? 55, 60 innings per
60
year?
innings,
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And you get more bang for your buck because if he's able to preserve his body, you know, the contract will actually be worth something. Now he's getting paid a whole lot of money. But
I feel
you
like
just
that's what's gonna happen with Otani at some point in the future.
should be
When I
happening.
don't know, but I think it will
Should be
happen.
happening now because he had a setback. He had a setback in spring. He was throwing. Now he's only throwing off a flat ground. They don't know when he's going to pitch yet this year. Dave Roberts.
You know what's the crazy thing too is, man, they don't
Mhm.
even need him to pitch.
They
They
don't. That
don't.
shit is crazy.
Like I know they're trying. I know as fans we would love to see Otani go back to give us a another year of being a two-way player.
Hmm.
But the Dodgers, the team that he plays for, the team that he just won a World Series with, they
You
don't
don't need it.
necessarily need him to be a two-way
Yeah, you
player.
don't need it, which is sick to say because that rotation is that deep. But
Right.
oh my goodness.
By the way, Sasaki, he made his debut the other day. He looked all right, man. That splitters, it dances its way to the play. I'll tell you
I'm gonna
that.
tell you something right now. Between his splitter and Yamamoto's,
They actually came in. I believe it was Yamamoto who started, and I believe it was Sasaki who
oh, they
came out of the pen.
piggyback. Oh my.
Yeah, man. Yo, you got to generate the Japanese dollar.
Imagine they do that during a game. Jesus Christ,
That would
bro.
be crazy, man. He looks good so far. He looks good.
I mean,
Like I'm definitely gonna watch his official debut in the regular season.
right.
But I just wanted to get a feel for what he looked like on a major league mound for the first time. And
Wow.
I was impressed. I was like, all right, still early. Because you could easily have a year like Yamamoto did last season. But Yamamoto's another guy who I'd like to see him bounce back and
Yeah,
look
Yoshinobu.
better.
And here's the thing: Yoshinobu's going to be better this year than he was like. I think Yoshinobu got the capabilities to be the best pitcher on that team.
Right, right.
His stuff is that the changeup, the splitter, the fastball. Yeah,
The scary part too, and I
mm,
know this could be asking for a lot, and because I know the Dodgers are going to be very careful with
for
not
sure,
only Otani first and
for
foremost, but
sure.
with the rest of these guys. But could you imagine if even if you remove Shohei Otani from the starting rotation, right? And you just
Mhm,
look at the guys that they have. Yamamoto, we mentioned, Sasaki, Blake Snell, Tyler Glass now. Could you imagine in a perfect world if all of those guys were healthy?
mhm,
Oh my, I think they might win 120 games. If
mm.
that were the case, I think they crack 120. Because,
So,
dude, those guys and their potential, right? Blake Snell, we know what he is.
mhm,
Tyler Glass now, filthy stuff, but very similar to the Grom now. Just can't do it over the course of a full season. Can't stay on the mound how I would say the Dodgers would like for him to. And then
mhm,
you've got Yamamoto still working on himself, year 2 now in the States. And then you have Sasaki, who looks good so far, hoping that, he doesn't have that bad of a season.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, you're talking about 4 guys who could literally take down any lineup on any given night, especially in the playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So I'm looking at my phone because I've been getting some interesting messages, should I say. There is a legitimate concern that Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles is not going to pitch till July.
Wow.
Um, he has pain behind his elbow. He's going for further testing. But and then Andrew Kittredge, who they picked up, the reliever,
Wasn't he
has
hurt last season too, Grayson, right?
he missed it. The last couple starts he didn't make it.
Right.
His velo this spring was only up to 89 miles an hour, so
Yeah, he only pitched in 20 ball games for
yeah,
Baltimore
they're
last
gonna
season.
send him back to they're gonna send him back to Baltimore and run some additional tests, but that don't look
I
good.
don't know, Baltimore. I don't know, man.
And you needed pitching already. Now if that if that's another hit, that don't look too good.
It's okay though, bro. You know what their answer was? It was Charlie Morton. I mean, I'm just saying that was their answer. That's not good though, man, honestly. Because I know, listen, at this point, we already know that they missed out on what they could have had, whether it had been Corbin Burns or another starter that they could have brought back. But I know
Sagana.
they had a lot of high. I said they had a lot of high. They were really high, excuse me, on a guy like Grayson Rodriguez. So
Mm-hmm.
for something like this to now be happening to them, it's kind of like, damn.
Remember,
Now you're
and
in an even tougher position now.
they had a bunch of issues last year because remember Kyle Bradish, who they were
Mhm.
big on, he missed the season. He had Tommy John, didn't start. Felix Batista, the closer, missed all the last season with Tommy John. He looks back to being Felix Batista. He was throwing 97, 98 the other day.
He's gonna help them out now that he's back for sure.
And it's just the starting rotation just continues to look all types of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that Grayson is okay. Somebody just commented on our TikTok. Why does this keep happening? They need to fire the whole athletic staff. So
Regarding Baltimore,
Grayson Rodriguez, yeah. So
wow,
Oriole fans are not happy, and the reliever they picked up this year, Andrew Kittredge, to go in the back of their bullpen, he is out indefinitely. He needs his knee scoped, so he's not going to pitch at least for the first 2-3 months of the regular season himself.
damn,
Yeah. So Baltimore got some injuries they have to address.
Baltimore, I got a problem, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like this was been a week of injury, like the whole week. Like Luis Hill's going to be out 3 months, definitely.
Right, yeah.
For the Yankees, the stuff with Christian Walker, Adolis Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it sucks, man. It sucks. You turn around and somebody else is hurt. Somebody of importance too. Like you look and you're just like, damn. And I'm gonna make a bold proclamation right now. You ready for this? Giancarlo Stanton does not play a single game for the Yankees this year.
Really? Not even in the playoffs?
Nah, he doesn't play a game.
Okay,
He
damn.
needs both his. He's going for a third PRP injection. He literally came to Tampa for 2 minutes and is leaving again. He needs another PRP injection in his elbow. That's 3 PRP injections in the last 2 weeks. And he's no closer to swinging a bat now than he was a month and a half ago.
Damn, and if he doesn't play this season, he'll be 36, turning 37 later in the year. Damn, man. That's unfortunate.
But you know what the Yankees can do? I wonder if the Yankees have insurance on his contract. Because if they do, the Yankees can ask for a medical designation where he gets paid, but it doesn't affect the Yankees books.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the one thing I'm curious about. Also, Cam Smith, remember we talked about him early in the show? Cam Smith is starting at third base tomorrow against the New York Yankees at West Palm Beach. Cam Smith might be the Astros opening day third baseman. That's crazy.
I like that.
This kid can hit. Ivan, when I tell you he can
I
hit,
like that. Rather than, going out of your way to find a guy to replace Bregman after you decided to not pay him, give it to one of your own
he
guys.
can hit, man.
Right.
Um, speaking of a shocking development, so Bryce Harper was in camp. He sits down with Ken Rosenthal maybe a couple days ago, and he says, yeah, I'm amenable to moving back to right field. He encouraged the Phillies to go sign Pete Alonso during free agency.
Wow.
Mhm.
Did they make an attempt? Because I don't recall hearing the Phillies and Pete Alonso in the same sentence.
I don't know if they were connected, but Bryce was trying to
Yeah.
pull some stuff down behind the scenes, which leads me to believe that Vladdy's in play for them. They're in play for a first baseman. It seems like Bryce Harper wants to move back to right field.
I
That's just
like that, man. He's a winner. He's a winner. We know what he's capable of doing in the postseason, and
Mhm.
Bryce Harper is a guy who I would love for him to win at least one World Series, right? And the fact that he is willing to do that, just shows what he wants to do, not only when it comes to Philly, but for himself.
And you know what? Notice he's not doing this for just any Joe Schmo. He says if you bring Vladdy in here, if you
Right.
brought Pete Alonso in here, if you bring in, one of them ones, I'll move. I'm out of here. So
Is it Kyle? Is Kyle Schwarber's a free agent after the season, right?
yes. Mhm.
Right. That's going to be interesting. Do you bring back both Kyle Schwarber and this first baseman, or do you move on from Kyle Schwarber completely and
Well,
just go all in with this first baseman that you want?
the question I have is, so they've reportedly started very, very early contract negotiations for an extension. I don't think he gets the extension he's looking for, however. So my question would be, if you don't get it, Philly may use that money to go another place or somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. That's a good point that you raise.
They got to do
Also,
it too, though, man. Like, not only do I like the fact that Bryce Harper and the Phillies have been able to have this conversation with each other,
mhm.
but it's time, man. Like, we've talked about the Phillies before on the show.
Yeah.
But now that we're talking about, what they're looking to do and what Bryce Harper is okay with doing, moving forward, it's time. A couple of guys are getting up there in age, like Zach Wheeler. He's gonna be 35 this year. Real Muto is 33 years old. And Real Muto's a catcher, and we're talking about a position where you literally get beat up to do your job. We
Mhm.
all know that, catchers, they take blows left and right all over the damn
Oh
place.
yeah. And the Phillies have also started to try and negotiate a contract extension with JT Realmuto. So they have a bunch of different irons in the fire, and Bryce Harper has also been a name that, like, hey, we'd like to keep you, long term, put you in
Hmm.
Philly forever. So, and he seems to be amenable to it. He's Mr. Philadelphia, so I would not be surprised if they come to some sort of, you know, agreement where he gets his money.
I would say though, I think with the in the case of the Phillies, if you're gonna make this move to put Bryce back in right field,
Mm-hmm.
get this first baseman, whomever he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think this has to be the move. This has to be the one.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, I hate to sound like you, Stefan, but I guess time is up, right? Because
Well,
I mean, what else are we waiting for? You've got a rotation.
yeah.
You've got a lineup. Listen, the bullpen is probably not going to be as good as it was because you lost a couple of guys,
Mm-hmm.
but it's okay. Like, what else are we waiting for at this point?
Just the fact that Bryce Harper is willing to switch back to right field after, being older and having injuries and doing what he's dealt, like, he blew out his elbow essentially. He needed Tommy John surgery. So
Right.
the fact that he's willing to switch back is kind of nuts. But hey, can't fault the competitor for being competitive, right? Like, I guess it comes with the territory.
He's
Speak
32 years old. So, what do you think? This is maybe something. Do you think it's
at
something that
least
he does for the rest of his career, or maybe for like
nah.
2 to 3 years?
I think the moment you get Schwarber out of there, Bryce is going to transition to the designated hitter role because it's not
After
that
playing right field for maybe
for
like a
a
year
couple
or two.
years, yeah.
Right.
Because now you're talking about when the range decreases and he's not able to, track certain line drives down or
Damn, I don't want to think of Bryce Harper like that just yet,
I
man. I
mean, but
still
it's
want to view him as the young, electrifying dude with the
yeah.
hair flowing,
I mean, we all
helmet
want to.
flying off.
Yeah, we all want to, but for the time when he come knocking, other than if you're LeBron James, he's undefeated. But LeBron, like, nah, we're not undefeated quite yet. We're not undefeated quite yet. But speaking of first baseman and deals, did you hear what Jeff Passan of ESPN put out yesterday late last night?
Regarding
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went to the Blue Jays and said, "Listen, if you give me 15 years at close to 600 million, I'm staying."
yes, I did hear
And the
that.
Blue Jays were like, no. And so
That's
Vladimir's
probably because they probably viewed him as somewhere in the $400 million range, maybe.
they might have, but
Mhm.
he views himself somewhat differently. So that's a chasm they're not going to be able to bridge.
Right. Now, here's the thing with Vladdy. Do you think he still gets that, whether he has a bad season or not, or he has to rake this season to solidify the 500 mil plus?
Well, you got to have a good year, right? You can't be pedestrian asking for that kind of money, but he'll get close because he's 26 years old.
Yeah.
He'll get close just because of his age. Because the one thing, like, even if his average is somewhat subpar, if he hits 40 home runs, he's getting it. 40 home runs, drives in 100, he'll get it. Tomorrow, he'll get that money.
Now the question is, does he do it just wearing a Blue Jays uniform for the
He
entirety of
no.
2025, or
Nah. That's one guy, Razor, he's going to be traded.
right?
That's a definite. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
be traded. They're going to trade him. The fact that they haven't traded him already is malfeasance. Somebody should be fired already. The fact that hasn't been done. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, like, now the TikTok, there was a comment on our TikTok yesterday, Vlad the Philly. So Philly fans are manifesting Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in Philly pinstripes, which would be, oof,
That would be nice.
oof.
That would be nice, man. To
Listen, as long
put him alongside some of the other guys they already
Bryce,
have there.
yeah, no.
That's what I'm saying, man. They're already a hell of a team. They are already one hell of a team. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're gonna go all in, and if Vladdy's your guy,
Mm-hmm.
this has to be the thing that gets you back to the World Series.
At
Not back
some
to the championship series, but
back to
back
the
to
World
winning the
Series.
pennant for sure.
And here's the thing, right? Like, the one thing you don't want to have happen, right? If you're in the National League, you don't want the Mets being the last team standing because guess what? Steve Cohen's going to write the biggest check and he's going to end up in Queens and y'all screwed.
Oh, that's interesting now that you say Steve Cohen, because I know the Mets are also gonna want to be in on Vladdy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, man, that's gonna be interesting.
So,
Phillies, Mets going at it for him. Maybe the
Yankee,
Yankees, the Red Sox.
Yankees, Red Sox,
Wow,
I'm going to throw a surprise one in there for you.
some heavyweights.
I'm going to throw a surprise one in there for you. Watch the Rangers.
The Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Watch the Rangers because listen, when you in Texas, they got money. That money is different out there. But them, I would say Boston's very in the. I got right now. I got Boston and the Mets as the two odds-on favorites to land them. Either one of those two. So
I could see it.
somebody has to knock either one of those two off the pedestal in order for it to be a conversation other than those two. But hey, if the Yankees realize, we really want them. This first base little stopgap with Goldschmidt was nice, but I mean, we moving on. I can see that. I can see a
I
situation.
wonder. I wonder what type of recruiting now that they're on the same team. Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto are doing now. Like, I
Oh,
wonder if they're telling each other, like,
crazy.
no, who else should we be talking to continue to
They
build
got
this
the whole.
empire?
They got the whole Spanish WBC rosters on speed dial. If
Right.
you, if you from Puerto Rico, if you from Venezuela, if you from PR, the DR, they calling everybody. Yeah, starting the Avengers over here.
Because I kind of feel like this is only and you've said this before, like this upcoming Mets team is And you weren't saying it in a bad way. You were saying it in a very good way, especially in terms of their future and what the team is going to look like moving forward.
Mhm.
But you said 2025 is going to be one of the worst Mets teams that we see.
2025 is going to be the worst Met team you see in the next 5 years.
Right, right. Compared to what's
Mhm.
to come. That's
What
crazy.
they got cut, but bro, look at this.
No, I'm not saying what you're saying is crazy. Just for that and just the
Just that
Mets.
thought process is nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what it'll mean for them, and how good they're gonna be.
it's a crazy thought process, bro. Because I say the same thing for the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox and Rays are going to be the two best teams in the American League within inside of 3 years.
Right. After this Yankee run comes. Right, right. I could see it.
The Red Sox and Rays are going to be the two best teams in the American League for the
Red
next
Sox for sure.
10, 15 years.
Yeah. I don't know. I have this weird gut feeling with Baltimore. I don't think they're gonna capitalize on what they have, but we'll see.
I'm going to say something bold right now.
Hmm.
If you don't make the playoffs next year, Adley, stop taking calls on him, bro.
Next year, you mean this season
At
or
the end of
2026?
this season, if they
Hmm.
miss the playoffs, the Orioles should consider trading Adley Rushman now.
Wow. Okay.
It's only going
You
to get
move
more
quick,
expensive.
bro.
Going to get more expensive, bro.
Well, for them, yes. Yes.
Gunner's going to want 300 million. Adley's going to want 350, 400 million.
I'm surprised maybe it happens this season or next season, especially with the lockout around the corner. But I'm surprised Baltimore hasn't locked up Gunner the way the Royals did with Bobby Witt or the way the Mariners did with Julio Rodriguez. Like, what's up, man? Make him yours. Unless Gunner is a guy who he believes in himself and he's gonna say, stop right there. I can get double that.
This comment right here, I can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
Next year? Wow.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And the reason why I can see it is because
The
look at what
Mets,
a
I can see. I think the Red Sox, I've got to see a couple of moves out of them.
so
But I
I
like where they're
I
at
will
right
tell you
now.
this. I think that's going to be the worst Red Sox team you see in the next 7 years. They're gonna. You kidding me? Do you understand that if the Red Sox really wanted to, they can assign any free agent player they want,
Yeah, they're just choosing not to. Yeah.
and their farm system, yo, between them, Baltimore, and I know the Orioles farm system is deep, but it's not as deep as it once was. Yo, between the Rays and Boston, two best farm systems in the league. What, bro? That alone is going to give you a window to be better than most teams. Because here's the thing. You know why Texas is able to have a window? Look at all the young players they produced. Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford. You know what I'm saying? Like Texas's farm system allowed them to say, yo, let's take a gamble on a Jacob deGrom. Yo, let's take a gamble on player X and player Y. You know what I'm saying? Let's do some things that are a little bit unconventional. Let's give Corey Seager a 10, 12-year deal.
Yeah.
Because the young players we got are producing, so we could take a shot. Like that's why I think the Red Sox, they have players for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They're at the front of the line as far as I'm concerned. Because the Marcelo Myers, the Tristan Campbells, the Roman Anthony's, the younger players allow your window to stay open for longer periods of time, right? This is why when I look at a team like the Astros, to me, their window's closed. There's no young players coming up in the pipeline to keep the window open, right? Like, I'm going to say something crazy. Like, yo, the Atlanta Braves window already closed or might be close to closed. Like, you're not winning any championships with that team. Where's the young upstart coming from? You locked them all up. Harris, you gave a 4-year deal to. Austin Riley, you paid a gajillion dollars to. Ronald Acuna got paid. Ozzy Albies got paid. I could keep going.
You know what's crazy? When they won that World Series, it was in Freddie Freeman's final season with the team.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they made the decision to want to move on from him and have not been back to the dance ever since.
That's what I'm saying. So you like your win. Everybody, oh, they got a wide open window. Oh, I'll be honest, like another team, like there's teams that I think should move earlier than everybody else because you're not afforded the luxury of staying the same, right? Like bold prediction here or bold thought. If the Yankees are a fringe playoff team at the end of this season, you know what I'm doing? Yo, Garrett Cole, give me a list. Give me 4 teams you want to go to.
What do you mean by fringe playoff team? Are we talking like first round exit?
If you're in the wild card race and you're
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
third wild card, you're a fringe playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the Yankees are at 85, 86, 87 wins, yo, Garrett, give me a list of teams you want to go to. Come on. What are we doing? Same thing with Rodon. Yo, give me a list. Give me a list of teams. Give me a list of teams you want to go to. Like I'm flipping the Jazz Chisholm. I'm, you know what I mean? It's gonna look real different.
So let me ask you this. So what I'm understanding is you're saying if the Yankees don't go on another deep
This
playoff
goes for
run.
anybody who's in that like that mid to like Atlanta mid-tier playoff team, not
Oh,
winning a
okay.
championship.
Okay.
The Yankees will see where it is at the middle of at the beginning and end of the middle of this year. But like if the Yankees finish with like 86 wins, 87 wins, 88 wins,
Guys gotta go.
what are we doing? It's only going to get more expensive and they're only going to get older. Like if Garrett Cole puts up a season where he's unbelievable, that alone makes me want to think about trading him. Yo, where you want to go? Where you want to go? You
But then
had
again,
like
you have the fans who'll say, "How could you just give up our ace
see,
so
but
easily?"
here's the problem with the fans. The fans don't know where they're coming or going. Because the fans want you to trade the heart. Oh, why don't you trade Stroman? Or why don't you trade? You don't think they've been trying to trade Stroman? You couldn't give Stroman away for a bag of balls and some bubble gum right now. Nobody wants him.
Yeah.
Forget about a major league player. Yo, they're looking at that Hubba Bubba gum in the corner going, yo, that's valuable inventory, dog. I don't think I could give that away. You crazy? What? Yo, honestly speaking, Atlanta, Acuna, I'm thinking about it. Atlanta, yo, uncomfortable as it may be, yo, who wants Ronald Acuna for what? What's your price? Name it here. We can make it happen. I'll take it a step further. We mentioned Seattle. They might have to do some unconventional things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like Philly. You might have to do some unconventional things. Yo, Bryce, Kostrober's not staying. What you want from him? Power hitter, help your lineup. You like none of the all of these teams are being crippled by but we could get into the wild card. Yo, but we could get into the wild. Yeah, but what does it look like next year? The year after that? Which is why I'm a proponent of when you sign a big contract, whether it's Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, and all these dudes you give long-term deals to, be prepared to deal with the idea that it's not going to end as well as you want it to.
Oh,
It
of
just
course.
isn't.
Yeah, that's something that'll never change over the years. Like it's very rare how a contract like Max Scherzer's with the Nationals turns out to be like perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know about any others off the top of my head, but that's one that
Next
definitely
for
comes to
sale
mind.
contract with Boston that didn't end great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was
Uh
talking about ones that did turn out well because most of them
oh,
just
okay.
don't. That's why, yeah.
Well, like for example, you can make the argument that one contract I think that was great, even though he wasn't effective towards the end, was the CC contract.
CC's contract I
CC
thought
was
was decent.
it
Yeah.
aged well. Like
Right. Right.
it aged really well because even the extensions he got wasn't like crazy, but it aged well. Like in the modern game, there's not very many contracts that age well. Like all the older contracts, they age like sour milk. Like that Mike contract is gonna age. That Mike Trout contract is gonna age horrible.
Yeah.
Anthony Rendon, horrible.
Oh, that's a good point actually by Shrek.
Oh, this right
Randy
here.
Johnson's D-backs contract. Let's see.
What was it actually?
Let's go back in time. Let's Hop on the 27-ounce time machine as we go back to the early 2000s and the
Oh my
90s.
God, yo, that twosome they had with him and Shilling,
Crazy.
Jesus Christ, bro. Oh my goodness.
In 1998, Johnson signed a 4-year, $52 million deal. And that was a big deal at the time. At the time, that was a big deal.
He also got no, he didn't get extended because I think he signed with the Yankees the very next year, like after his
The
contract.
right.
Yeah, yeah, but he was dominant when he was in. That's crazy.
Crazy. Crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's the one I was just talking about, right? The one he got in 98.
You want to hear an interesting story about that? So back in '98, before he signed with the Diamondbacks, you want to know who his last two choices were?
Who?
He was down to the Braves and the Yankees, and as free agents, the Yankees thought they had him in '98, but they
Damn,
couldn't.
could you imagine if he would have went to the Braves though? The
They,
Braves had some good team. I mean, we know what the Yankees were, but
no, because you know what they were going to do. And at the end of the '95 season, they were going to trade. At that point, they thought about it. They were thinking about trading Greg Maddux. So they wanted Randy Johnson to fill Greg Maddox's spot, but they couldn't get the numbers down in time to get Randy to sign with the Braves. But Randy was almost either a Yankee or a Brave before he went to Arizona.
there's a lot of stories like that, man, where you hear about a pitcher who could have moved on to a great
Like
team.
I
Like
heard,
we've heard Pedro a couple times.
I
Like he
heard
even told the Red Sox, I believe, at one point that he wanted to go to the Yankees, right? I've heard
in
stories like
in
that.
'97 when he was a free agent, the first team he wanted to talk to was the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And the Yankees, they exchanged numbers, but it never got serious. And that's when he went to Boston. I got another one for you.
I think he tried a couple of times.
Yeah, in I think in '98, Boston, Bernie was almost a Red Sox.
That's crazy, man.
Bernie Williams was almost a Red Sox. There was a point, and I think '98 where he called George Steinbrenner and was like, "Yo, Boston's offering me like 90 million.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to go to Boston." And George was like, "Hold on, wait right there. How much you want?" So they settled it. He signed it. I think he signed a 5-year deal for 87 and a half. Well, he was almost a Red Sox. He was damn near that. Like it was right there.
Damn. Could you have imagined an outfit with Bernie Williams and Manny?
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
boy.
You want to hear something crazy? Did you hear the story about how the Mets almost had A-Rod
That
and
story, yeah, I know about that one.
did you hear the story how they had A-Rod and Griffey almost in the same offseason, but they had Griffey via trade, and
The
then they were
Griffey
gonna
part I didn't know, but I've heard of the A-Rod, yeah.
before he signed with the Reds, the Mets made a last ditch offer to trade for Griffey, and they were gonna sign A-Rod as a free agent to play short. How crazy is that?
Wow. I know ultimately A-Rod did want to be a Met. He grew up a Mets fan.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
So that makes sense.
Just that thought alone, I was like, yo, what?
But he got close to the Mets. I know he also got close to the Boston Red Sox.
Being traded there, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Man, the stories that come out years later. Speaking of stories, did you guys see and shout out to everybody who's still hanging out here. We're wrapping up in just a bit. But you guys saw that Barry Bonds video on All the Smoke?
Where he talking about he got hit 100 now?
Yeah, that, but also you heard his comments on Ohtani. He said that he would like for Ohtani to focus more on just hitting because he could see the things that Ohtani could do with a bat.
Yo,
And he
this
thinks
guy,
he's that much better with the bat than he is as a pitcher.
just think
And he
about it.
said if Ohtani does want to stick to being a two-way player, he should turn himself into a reliever rather than continuing to be a starter. And it was like, wow, man, like Ohtani, listen, man, I don't know if you understood those words, but
I'm
get
gonna
your
tell you
interpreter to translate that for you.
I was gonna tell you, didn't I yell this last year? Ohtani should be the closer.
Yeah. He lengthens his career that way. Easily.
Yo, bro, he made Mike Trout look like a mental midget. Get out of here, bro. You kidding me? Hell no. Um,
He did
like
make that comment though about the 100-mile-per-hour fastball. He made it seem like he could do it like nothing.
he probably still could.
He said,
All it
"I
is,
don't care how fast you're throwing, man. You give me a bat, I'm in the box, I'm making contact." Straight up, straight up. That's how he put it. I respect it.
I respect it.
You got to have the confidence, you
For
know.
sure, for sure. Um, since we're going down memory lane, I do have one that I don't think you've even heard before. Did you hear about the signing almost that wasn't? You didn't. So the signing that wasn't was at some point. I believe it was in the early '90s. This is when they were really good.
Who are we talking about?
Oakland.
Okay.
Oakland was gonna sign. I think this is like in '89 or '90. They almost tried to trade for Bo Jackson
Mm-hmm.
for Bo to go play in Oakland, but the Royals were like, "Oh hell no! There's not enough prospects in the world." But they tried it. Could you
Right.
imagine a lineup of Bo Jackson, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, Ricky Henderson?
Oh, damn. They would have been running all over the damn place.
Yo, dog. They would have won 115 games. It would have been a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And he
I
played
know
for the
Shrek would have Well, actually, Shrek would not have liked that. Sorry, because we're talking about Bo going to the A's.
oh my goodness, Bono. Look, Bono's. Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah, but
Shrek, let me ask you something, bro, before we go. You seem to know a lot about old school baseball, bro. That's a good thing, you know. The game has changed a lot, you know, and I think Stefan and I are two people who still, you know, like yourself, Shrek, I'm sure still love the game. It's our favorite compared to any other sport, most likely. But you know, we just have something in us when it comes to you know, baseball 20 to like 30 years ago.
oh
Emilio as well. Can't forget about you. Shout out to Emilio.
yeah. The game's changed, but it's still baseball at the end of the day, and I'm gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
coming back because I'm a sicko and I need mental help. But this was your this was the AL West preview, and next episode, I'm thinking since we did the AL East, we might as well do the NL East next one. So
No, we did NO East. You mean NO West?
NL West. I'm sorry. Let's do the NL
Right,
West
right.
for the next one.
That
We
was
know
gonna
who,
be an interesting one, man. Because I mean, obvious the Dodgers, but we get into the Dodgers, not the Dodgers, the Giants,
Giants,
the
Padres.
Padres, Arizona. I got a couple of friends who are big on Arizona.
Me too.
Shout out to my boy Manny. He's a big Ketel Marte fan, bro. Like you can't tell him nothing when it comes to Ketel Marte.
If he didn't get hurt last year, Ketel Marte was like he was a
He's a good player.
MVP candidate.
We were talking about this the other day. I know we're wrapping up, but this just came to mind. Speaking of, you know, trying to get a bat, but what I'm trying to get into is what you actually had once upon a time. You know, Ketel Marte was a Mariner.
Mariner, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Damn, man. What could have been?
I don't think he's as good now. I don't think he's as good if he stays in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I think him going to Arizona, him playing in a dome, the ballpark dimensions being better for him, let him be a more complete player. You got to be a different sort of beast to play in Seattle. The marine layer is heavy. It's always a little damp, always a little cold. Yeah, you got to be a different sort of beast to get it out of there. But
Right.
you know, so right now we got the Rangers winning the American League West.
I don't know if I could give you a for sure answer, I would say,
So
because
I said right now. That's what I said right now. We got them
right.
winning the American League West, but who knows? Maybe Oakland sneaks up. Maybe I don't see it from Seattle, but we can have a conversation. You
I
know,
got it. I got it between for me, it's gonna come down to, and I think it's gonna be a 3-team race again. I think it's gonna be the Mariners, the Astros, and the Rangers trying to kill each other, trying to remove each other's heads from their
Mhm.
shoulders. But I've got at the end of the day, you know, I don't think the Mariners are gonna do the thing that they have to do. So for me, it boils down to the Astros and the Rangers. Texas. Shout out
Oh,
Dayon.
so it's an all Texas thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I hear that. Anyway, speaking of ending things and being at all big things, we ending right here. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight, rocking with us on a Friday night. We genuinely appreciate it. Stay tuned to the Instagrams and all the socials for shorts and more content coming soon. And hopefully we'll give you guys some more good content here in the coming days.
of
So
course, as always.
I'm Stefan. That's Ivan. We'll see you guys next time. Till then, peace.